Hi, welcome again to this session. We are going to be looking at variables in Python. In Python or in any other programming languages, assigning variable is basically a process of storing a particular value in memory. So it is a fundamental building block of writing any programming language. Variable has three components. The first component is the variable name. The second component is the assignment operator. And this assignment operator is usually an equal to sign. And then the value of our variable. For example, if I say x is equals to 10, then I have been able to assign this variable whose variable name is x and the value is 10. So if I call this variable again and I say x, you can see that I'm going to have 10. So this is how we can assign a variable. So when we want to assign our variable, there are some conventions we need to observe in determining the name. One of them is that the name should not start with a number or an underscore. It should only contain alphanumeric characters and underscores. That is, it should contain numbers, it can contain words and underscores. And this is very important that our variable name should be descriptive. That is, when another person sees our variable name, based on that name, they should have an idea of what that variable is all about. And there is something called keywords in Python. Keywords are particular words that have their own use, or the Python developer have assigned to perform a particular function in Python. So we don't use those words as a variable name because it can cause a confusion. So for example, if, for, why, and co are examples of reserved keywords in Python. So there are many of them. The trick around this is that whenever you write any particular name and it shows with green, then it is a keyword. For example, if I write if, you can see that it is showing in green. So let me add s in front of it. You can see that now is black. So let me write for 2. You can see that for 2 is showing in green. So any word that you write in Python like this and is shown in green is a keyword. You can't use such word as a variable name because they have their use already in Python. And the more we continue in this journey, the more we are going to be seeing the use of all of these keywords. So let's go to the next one. Now the next concept is type of case when it comes to assigning our variable name. There is what is called the Pascal case. Pascal case basically means that all the first letter are in capital letter, that is, they are in uppercase, and there is no space between them. So look at this. My first name equals Opeyemi. So this is what is called a Pascal case, and Pascal case is usually used for class in Python. So in the future, we are going to be talking about classes in Python. And this is important because if I see any variable name and that variable name is in form of a Pascal case, then the first thing that will come to my mind is that this is a class. So after that, we have the second type of case, which is called the camel case. So the camel case is the same as the Pascal case, apart from the fact that the first letter of the first word is in lowercase, that is in small letters. So we can see this is an example of a camel case. And then comes the most common one, which is the snake case. The snake case, everything is written in lowercase and an underscore is put in between the words. So a good example of snake case is this one here, my first name. So usually in Python, the common variable names are usually in snake case. So as a programmer in Python, majority of our variable names are going to be written in form of snake case. So snake case is very important, and you can see how it is written here. Everything is in lowercase, and then there's an underscore between each of the words. Then there is another type called the uppercase or the constant case. This is like the opposite of the snake case, in which all the words are written in capital letter or in uppercase, and there are underscores in between them. Good. Now, let's talk about initialization in Python. It is the process of assigning a variable name to a value. It is like what I did the other time. So when we say x is equals to 10, then we are assigning this value of 10 to the variable name x using the assignment operator equal to. So when I run this now, so it means that I have assigned this 10 to x. So if I say print x, so we have 10. So if I say y is equals to x multiplied by 2, if I say y, so this value has been stored in memory as x, so that anytime I call upon it or I use it going forward, is going to be showing that particular value. Now, in Python, we can also assign multiple variables. For example, I want to assign my name to first name, middle name, and last name. So if I say last name, if I call on last name now, you can see last name is here. So if you look at it, the first variable will go to the first value, the second variable will go to the second value, the third variable will go to the third value. So if I change the order of this value, then what I'm going to be getting here also will change. So, and that is why when you want to do this, you must ensure that both the variable names and the values that we want to assign are in the same order. So let me call on order. So let me call on the first name. So you can see now that first name is this. So let me do a little trick. Let me come back here and put first name and then I make this Now, if I run this now, and I'm calling my last name, know that this is the last name is the third, it will bring out this. So let's see. So you see now that the last name has changed because I have changed the order of the value. Good. And the first name also has changed because of the same reason. And so also, if I also change the order of the variable, we are going to have the same thing. So now I've put last name at the first, so it is going to match with this. So if I call on last name here now, so you can see now that when we want to do something like this, you should ensure that you understand the arrangement of your values before you can unpack them into multiple variables. Good. Now, it is all about any value you want to assign. So for example now, I'm using ABC and it's going to do the same thing. So if I call on A will be the first value here. See, if I call on B, it's going to be the second value here. And if I call on C, it's going to be the third value there. So it's all about whatever you choose as your variable name and the arrangement you choose to unpack your multiple values. However, before we move on, it is important to note that you cannot unpack variables or unpack multiple values when there is no equality in the number of values and the number of the variable names you are assigning. For example, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 values here, but we have 1, 2, 3 variable names. If I run this, it's going to throw an error. Let's see. You see now it has thrown an error. So let us look at what the error says. The error says too many values to unpack. Expected 3. So it's telling us that it is only expecting us to unpack 3 values and we gave him or we gave it 4 values. So the guy is not ready to do anything for us. So this is very important so that before you can unpack successfully, you will have to ensure that whatever you are unpacking are of the same values. Good. Now, we can reassign a new variable name to an existing one. So, for example, this is my first name. It's equals to Opeyemi. So, if I want to change it, I can just say, so I will just write something else and something like first name. So you see now that I have changed my variable name and to something else. So you can always do this in Python comfortably. So if you want to change your variable name to something else, just write the new variable name and assign the same value to it and you are good to go. The same thing goes for this. Now, I can assign a new name to point towards my variable name. For example, I can say name is equals to first name. So first name is Opeyemi. So I can say that I'm giving another variable name and is pointing to the first name. So here now, if I call on name, it's going to be upper M because this name is pointing to the first name. So this is very important because we are going to be using this concept a lot in our journey as a Python programmer. So we can change the value of a variable, we can change the variable name, and also we can point a new variable name to an existing one. Good. So let me choose this. So I can say print first name, print name, and you can see. So this is an important concept to understand in Python programming language. Good. So I can use an existing variable name to create a new one. So for example, I want my name to be times 2, my first name to be times 2. So I call it new first name. Now let's see what the new first name is. So you can see now that new first name is has been formed and is 2 times the first name. So these are how we can play around variable in Python. And believe me, you cannot write any successful Python syntax without starting from assigning values to variable or initializing a variable. So now, before we go, let me show us an example here. So this code you are saying here is a small syntax I'm using to import a data set from into my notebook. So let me run it. So let me show you the data. So this code shows the first 5 rows of the data. You can see, good. Now, assuming we want to do a particular project where we do not want to use state. So I want to remove state from my data. So I want to use R&D, administration, marketing, spend, and profit. But this part states I want it removed. So what do? I have 2 options. The option 1 is to create a new variable and store the new data in it. So let's say data 1 is equals to, so data 1 now is going to store the new data. So let me move. Now you can see that data 1 does not have states in it. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Data 1 has 1, 2, 3, 4. So, and that is very important. So I've been able to create a new variable out of the existing one. But there is something in Python that I can actually use the same variable name. For example, I can say data is equals to data dot. So let's say I want to remove profit now. You understand? So I can actually store it directly under the same variable name. So now, if you look carefully, you see that I have removed profits from data. So, and it's still under data. So when I call on data now, I'm not going to be having the first data. The first data has 5 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4. The new data is having 4 columns, but when you come here, in that the first data has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 columns. But now the new data here is having 4 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the second approach. So you can use the same variable name, but anything you assign to the new name will be what will be showing henceforth.